Moving ahead, I would like to thank our sponsors, our presenting partners, Jabra, our gold partners, D-Link, Building Networks for People, our technology partners, Acer, our Thrive Skills partner, Harappa, our government supporting partners, India, our associate partners, Map My India, Quest, Veer Softech, EduSkills, Superbot, and Eval, our institute partners, Jaipuria Institute of Management and International Institute of Management and Technology, our university partners, Shobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, deemed to be university, Shulini University, Sitkara University, OP Jindal University, Raipur, and Noida International University. Our academic partners, Millennium Education Management and Little Millennium. Our school partners, Sanford World School and City Montessori School, Lucknow. Our preschool partners, Sanford Group of Schools. Also, I would like to request that we as team request you all to go through our social media platforms such as Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all other, and like and share as we are live streaming through our Facebook page, as we strongly believe awareness spread through such strong personalities as you is the awareness spread in thousands. A solution to project-based learning, and the eminent panel speakers for the same are Dr. Seema Negi, Director Principal, Sanjeevani World School, Mumbai; Roshni Vijayan, Principal, Paul George Global School, New Delhi; Dr. Sunita Swaraj, Principal, The Heritage School, Delhi; Dr. C.S. Nair, Dean Skills and Capacity Building, Silver Line Prestige School, Ghaziabad; Vandana Arora, Head of School, Nahar International School, Mumbai; Kaisar Dopeshi, Head of School, Podar ORT International School, Thane; Dr. Neeru Madhupuri Party, Director Academics, Aravali International School, Greater Faridabad; Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, Principal, Manav Rachna International School; Dr. Rita Saxena, Principal, Scholar Mission School, Kanpur; Priyanka Bhatkoti, Principal, Max Ford School, Dwarka; and Anita Gupta, Principal, Raman Munjil Vidya Mandir. We welcome all our eminent speakers, and over to you all. Please guide us.
Good evening, everyone. I think most of you are on social media. Yes? A quick question. How many of us are on Facebook? You can just raise your hand. How many of us are How many of us are using Twitter? Now, this is a Twitter session. Because we have to maintain our word limit. When we actually write on Facebook, we can write stories. But when we write on Twitter, we have to be very particular about the characters that we are using, word limit. And that is what we are going to represent today. So it's a very, very rapid fire kind of round table without any round table here. So let's think it's a semicircle kind of discussion. So as the topic is project-based learning, and since morning we are listening a lot about technology and how immersive it is, I don't have to really create any preface for that, because most of us are practicing it in our school. Right from the manual project that parents used to make rather than children, I think project-based learning has come a long way, wherein it is not just about how the process is. The best part is it is giving voice to students, and that what I feel is the essence of project-based learning. So without wasting much time, all the panelists know how much time we have, and we all have to look there, right? So we know that there is something which is tickling, and to start with, Anita ji, I would like to start with you. Anita Gupta is principal of, yes, we have here, Anita Gupta is principal of Raman Munjal Vidya Mandir, Jaipur. So we have Mini India also. It's Gurgaon. So we have Mini India here also, because I think most of us are representing different states. So we are celebrating unity in diversity. So your question is, how can we plan, or how can we integrate project-based learning in our regular lesson plan? Because teachers, they design their own lesson plan. And on top of that, if we'll say that we need to have project-based learning, how do we do that?
Thank you for the question, and thank you Ardacom for inviting me here. So when we talk about project-based learning, actually it's about learning. It's about children. If the children are in our center of learning, if we don't forget about them, so then project is everywhere, every time a part of our education system, a part of our curriculum, a part of our lesson planning, whether it is offline or online. So anything can be integrated, keeping in mind the availability of material around us. So in that case, we need not to see around, we need not to see very far. So like this has happened in the virtual classes also, giving just an example of doing mathematics, different shapes. So need not to go anywhere. There are so many things which are in different shape in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in surroundings, whether it's sofa, whether it's bed sheet, whether it's sandwich, whether it is chapati. So we can make it as an embedded part, as an integral part. And the children love doing it, whether of any age. Means starting with nursery, KG child to 12th class children. Yes, of course, it's going to be embedded further, like seeing the concept which we need to like imbibe the child with. So what I believe is, like if we are open to any kind of situation and if we are ready to accept anything and everything comes, and that is what we have learned in pandemic, or COVID-19 has come as a blessing in disguise, because we were not otherwise prepared. Technology we used to keep at the other side of the table. Okay, it's okay, we are able to do it. But when suddenly it came, so we also prepared ourselves overnight. Though it was difficult, it is difficult, and especially doing it online, because keeping the children's interest in the center is the most difficult task. Keeping them engaged is another part. Then the parent partnership is very important here, because the parents had exchanged the role of teachers during the pandemic in online classes.
So Anita ji, I agree with you, because when we are talking about project-based learning, already technology has leverages many landscapes. So here collaboration plays a major role. So we'll collaborate with this side of panel, and we'll go to Roshni ji. Roshni Vijayan, ma'am, is the principal of Paul George Global School, New Delhi. So ma'am, we are talking about innovation, and innovation is not just the buzzword, but innovation is the way forward. So how can PBL leads to innovation?
Well, I guess, moving to project-based learning is not something that has been new in the education sector. But having said that, project-based learning itself has moved from pedagogy to heutagogy, because pedagogy is very teacher-centric, and largely every methodology that we follow through a pedagogy, which is the methodology, is based on the teacher focusing on what the learning outcome should be. Whereas heutagogy, which is self-directed learning, is a key to project-based learning. Because unless and until we instill various skill sets, such as problem solving and collaboration, which is also a part of the real-time life, we are not going to be engaging children fruitfully in project-based learning. So therefore, if I would take an example of even the assessments that we carried out in my school, we made a paradigm shift from not only having the pen and paper, which is the conventional mode, but also had it on the project-based learning basis, wherein we also encouraged children to bring about the STEM-based education.
That's beautiful, because when we integrate STEM and STEAM, we have seen how beautifully the landscapes have changed, and we are really able to judge what the children are learning, because it is very important to map where the learning curve is going. So moving ahead, we have Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya. She is from Manav Rachna International School, Principal Manav Rachna International School. Ma'am, we would like to know from you, we know you are very pro when it comes to technology and when it comes to innovation. So do you think technology help in project-based learning? And if yes, then how?
Yeah, I will start with saying absolutely is the answer. In fact, we see project-based learning is the future of education. Technology is the future of workplace. So combination of both, I think, is what innovation is. Yes, as my panelist friend have just said, that nothing has been newly incorporated, but definitely with the pandemic, I think starting from the teachers to the students, everyone had a paradigm shift. And this shift actually gave or brought in innovation. And when it comes to project-based learning, we understand that we need to teach our children to have that experience while learning. So technology has given that door or opened that door up, where we see that children can not only visualize what they are doing, but then yes, in the morning also I listen to it, that it gives in immediate results. Therefore, more improvement and therefore more innovation. That is the crux that I would like to talk about. But yes, once again, we need to say that teachers did do a wonderful job, but a little bit of training is required, and I think we are going to do excellently well with the future generation with technology, innovation and project-based learning. Thank you so much.
Definitely, right from disaster-driven digitalization when pandemic struck to teacher and technology together, I think we have come a very, very long way.
Absolutely.
So moving ahead, you can pass the mic to Dr. C.S. Nair. Dr. C.S. Nair is Dean, Skills and Capacity Building, Silverline Prestige School, Gurgaon. So a very interesting question I want to ask, because you are again very, very pro when it comes to technology. When we talk about PBL, under that, can you elaborate the difference between learning by doing and learning and doing? So when you elaborate that, I also want you to throw some light on how do we map the effect of project-based learning?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you so much. Seema, you said that the question is very interesting, so I don't know whether the answer would be so. But let me make an attempt is that, see, even this panel discussion that we are doing is the difference between learning by doing and learning and doing. So we have now, when it is coming to the project-based learning is concerned, learning by doing is a time when you could have learned, and in the process of learning you could have made mistakes. Now since you have learned, so learn it and do it. So we have learned that how to complete the panel discussion within 45 minutes. Now since you learned, you do it now. So the learning by doing phase is now getting over, slowly and gradually. Whether it is skill development, whether it is competencies, whether it is lesson planning, whether it is timetable mapping. Now since you learned, you just can't repeat the same mistakes, or in the cost of that, you do an administrative job and to the cost of academic mastery that we are supposed to be doing. So the project-based learning should be now directing towards the mastery of academics, the research-based learning and the competency-based learning. As far as there was a debate in the morning is that whether it should be, the project-based learning should be part of the framework or not. It has to be now. Because the elements, one of the elements of your learning, teaching, learning practices will have skill development and the competencies being identified against each skill, putting that into practice, and now since you learned how to do it, now start doing it. So that's what I would like to say, that the difference between project-based learning, learning by doing, and learning and doing. Thank you so much.
That was wonderfully put, and definitely we are implementing it right now, right? So moving ahead to the another gentleman sitting on my other side, Keza sir, now you need to pick up the mic. So Keza Dopakshi sir, I think he doesn't need any introduction, head of school, Podar ORT International School, Mumbai. So sir, when we talk about Podar, we know it stands for synonym for technology. So you are the early adapter of technology. So how do you think that when we talk about PBL, do you think it can be integrated with all the subject, and what about the authenticity aspect when we are doing project-based learning?
Right. Technology in the first place is an enabler of learning, and it's not something on its own, it's doing something. When you adopt technology and when you're looking at the PBL, the project-based learning, I think, as I mentioned, you see, it has to be a part of your psyche. That is your mission statement, running down to your policies, running down to your philosophy, to your assessments. That's when you bring it to life, right? And that's when technology can enable that. So it's not just a teaching strategy or a learning strategy, but I think it's much more than that. That's when when good pedagogy, and if you notice, the PBL was introduced in 1913 by Dewey, L. Dewey. He was the first guy who did it. So it's nothing new really. It's as old as 1913. It was practiced in the First World War. So such is the situation what we are looking at. It has been there, right? So with us, I think it's part and parcel of what is best for the child. So when you take technology as an enabler of learning, I believe that that is the best thing. But more than that, it must be a 360-degree alignment of the mind, body and soul to what you're doing, keeping the child at the center. Thank you.
That was beautifully put, because when you are aligning your words, your mind, your body, your soul, your action, then I think authenticity aspect is really catered. So moving ahead to you, Vanna ma'am, Vanna Arora, Head of School, Nahar International School, Mumbai. So what are the key skill sets that are needed? Because we have spoken about project-based learning, how to implement it in the classroom, but who are going to implement it? Those are our teachers. So how do we empower them, or how do we train them so that they can take forward this new way of learning?
Yeah, so this approach of project-based learning calls for a mind shift change. As Kaiser just said, that you have to align your thought with your actions. And look at the set of teachers we are having. They are struggling, they are confused. They did what they could, but at the same time, they need a support system through trainings, and these trainings are not about content. They need to understand how to create a classroom environment. They need to understand how to link subject, how to draw cross curricula. They need to understand how to bring research in the classroom, because these kids who will go through project-based learning, they are going to be so fast in their understanding of conceptual ideas, and then they would like to implement those ideas. When they implement, they are going to make mistakes. And that's where we need to have teachers who accept mistakes. How would they accept mistakes if they are not allowed to make mistakes for so long? Because teachers are supposed to be perfect. They need to have answers. How do we create teachers who are risk takers, who are open to say, it's fine what you've created, I don't know it, I am learning from you. So when we create training modules for our teachers, where our teachers also have classroom where they're not being asked to introduce a concept and then take the concept further and then assess the concept, and that's where they are being judged, are they good or bad teachers, then we would be able to create an environment of project-based learning where our teachers are going to be happy, content, satisfied, and would be able to create better generation of students who are innovators.
So that's simply put, if we have happy teachers who are empowered, definitely they will lead to happy students, because they will create that kind of ecosystem. And when your students are happy, we know parents will be happy. And when parents are happy, it comes back to school, we'll have a happy school. So this might sound like a very, very simple technology, but when we empower our teacher, I think we are empowering everyone together. So thank you, Vanna ma'am. Moving ahead to our next panelist, Dr. Rita Saxena, Principal, Scholar Mission School, Kanpur. Something which is very important is communication skills. We always say that whatever our children are doing, when they are presenting it, communication skills play a major role. So do you think, ma'am, that project-based learning and communication skills can be collaborated together, so when our children are going through this entire process of PBL, they are in return enhancing their communication skills?
Yeah, ma'am, when we talk about communication skills, it's not only the speaking skills. When children are doing their project work, when we introduce this PBL to them, Means suppose one problem is being given, they have to prepare a project or the presentation, or they have to make some posters or something. They keep on doing research, they keep on doing something, they keep asking from their friends, they make something, they prepare the things, they deliver it to their friends, and then they discuss, what is this all? This is all the communication process. Either they are doing it digitally or they are doing it verbally, but they are enhancing their communication skills. I think when they are making some flyer, like we have given, one thing I must tell you that this PBL learning, in fact pandemic has given us the project of online teaching to our teachers too. And the teachers have really learned. I have seen my staff working throughout the day and night, preparing their lessons, because there were teachers, those who were 55, 56 like me, those who doesn't want to play with their mobiles even, and they are using laptops, they are using Zoom meetings. How our computer teachers, techno-savvy teachers taught them, means they have communicated in some way or the other. This was, suppose if you take it as a project, that has really created the communication skills in our teachers. They have started communicating with their children with that computer language. So it means ki PBL means project-based learning always increases the skills. And that can be the literary skills in the form of communication skills, speaking skills, writing skill, presentation skill, all is the platform.
And we
for
have added
PBL.
one more communication skill, one more way of communicating with our children is with emoticons, because they love those kind of communication. So yes,
Definitely.
each one of us are learning and skills are
Yes,
also
ma'am.
getting sharpened.
And these projects have really increased the communication between them. Sitting in the room, learning the lesson, delivering the lecture, preparing it, I don't think it's a good way of communication. Once they access it to the digital platform or share it with everyone, means they have to convince them that they are right. That instinct gives them the good communication skills, I think.
Indeed.
Thank you, ma'am.
I mean, when we talk about teachers, because you spoke about teachers, we should never waste any good crisis. So if we consider pandemic as a good crisis, I think teachers are the one who are winner, because they wanted to reach out to each and every child. They have not left any stone unturned not to reach. So moving ahead, I come to you, Priyanka Bhatkuti ma'am. You are the principal of Maxford School, Dwarka. We spoke about communication skill, but there are two more C's very important, that is critical skills and creative skills. So how do we instill creativity and critical thinking when we talk about PBL?
Okay, very simple, we are going to do it now itself. This whole seminar and gathering of people is also a project. A project where we come to learn from each other. I presume that's the reason a lot of us educationists are here, what's happening in the world. A lot of technology partners, because pandemic has opened a lot of vistas in education. For those who are only designing corporate tools, suddenly looked into schools as their greatest clients there. Yes, a new vista opened. So to start with, we are going to do the project here. I would request each one of you to look at your name tag that you have been given. Most of you have. If you haven't, it's okay. Look at the co-learner that you have. Everybody, look at the co-learner next to you. I have ma'am here, I have Seema right here. And can you look at them and compliment them for one thing that you have noticed in the span of the journey? 30 seconds to do this. Please compliment your co-learner who's seated right next to you about something that you have noticed about them just now. Like here, I noticed, I'm going to compliment.
We have read in
Seema.
common, so
Seema,
let's compliment.
Yes, I'm going to compliment her for her painstaking efforts during the course of the whole training. She's been taking notes, she's been moderating and coordinating who's there, who's not there, what question will go to which person out there. So I really compliment you on that part. Now, sir, I want you to also, both of you networked. I have two wonderful chief guests here because you were also working and exchanging notes during the course here, and you gave us a lovely book. So this opportunity, what is project-based learning? That we make real life come into our class there. What is relevant in real life is very relevant in education. Would you all agree with me? Yes? Raise your hand. Did you give a compliment to the person next to you about what you saw, what was nice about them? Did you? Please raise your hand if you did. Yes, you did. Now, some of you used two words, so there were adjectives which were used, there were connectors which were there, some of you used bilingual out there, and yet you reached out across to a person next to you, you connected. One purpose of this meeting also is networking. Would you all agree with that or not? So that we network to find out that I have a challenge, I have a gap, can I learn from the intelligence of my co-learner or a co-educationist to find similar solution? Would you agree with that or not? Yes? So that purpose is not served if we are only immersed in our mobiles and digital. I came, and after a long time, the presence and being present in a real-time training is a present I gave myself. Would you also agree? For many of us, it's the first of trainings that we've had here. Yes? Now also, oh, thank you for that applause, because it gives us strength, because the meaning has to be driven home. The whole meaning of project-based learning is that we create change that has meaning and makes our life better. So I have this book which has been wonderfully presented by Director NBT here to us. So why not use this opportunity to make my request, because CBT and NBT and all these platforms out there, that sir, you give us great books at a great affordable cost, and you always give those repositories so that readers can become leaders in the classrooms which are there in our schools there. My humble request, if you could also have a repository of authors who write them, so they state why they wrote those books, so that the author reaches to the reader directly, not the interpretation through English teachers or us teachers out there, because technology can make that possible. So if that would be there, our students would be hooked to learning. So see, project-based learning.
So I think you have utilized the situation very well, and you had put forward all your points. So now moving ahead from 21st century, I'll just take you to 22nd century 4 C's, because they are very aligned to what you said. 22nd century 4 C's are care. We care for each other, and I think Chandan cared for us. He wanted us to come out of our own silos, so we are here present for this conference. Then second is community. We need to move ahead from us. We are not in our own self. We are living in a community. So when we talk about PBL also, a lot of community factor is involved in that. At the same time, something very important is culture. If we do not know where we come from, we will not know where we have to go. So ensure that when we are conducting these kind of activities, that factor is there. And last but not the least is connect. You spoke about networking. I mean, in business language, your network is as good as your net worth. So it is very important to network and stay connected with people. With this, we come to the second round of this session. That's the concluding round also. I want each one of the panelists, because you have so much of experience, to please share some golden nuggets or give some pearls of wisdom to everyone who is sitting there, so that we take home something. And you have quick 1 minute for that. In 60 seconds, what is that you want to give to your audience when we talk about project-based learning, or when you say how to integrate different kind of technologies in their school, which are a mixed balance of technology as well as the human aspect that we spoke about since morning. So we'll start from you. Keza sir. Your golden nuggets for the audience.
Very long question, I didn't get it.
You can share whatever you want to share. You can share gold also. That's fine. Audience is ready for that, right?
Now, I think as I mentioned, I'll take it up from where I left. And I said the objective is to make children lifelong learners. If at all anything this pandemic has taught, I'm waiting not for the new normal, but the newest normal. It's coming. It's an evolving normal which is coming. So when we say new normal, I wonder after 6 months, what are we going to say? The newest normal? You see, I said that's what I'm leaving you behind with. Where do you go from here? All right? And the way to go out, I think, is been suggested very clearly here. You have to have the vision, and the vision must match the walk, and through it all, move caringly, because the 21st century set skills required are the so-called soft skills, because the others are going to be provided by IAs, right? Robots might serve you something in your restaurants perhaps. However, it's these soft skills, that's the personal touch, which is important, which was emphasized in the morning also. So socio-emotional learning, I think, needs to be very much embedded, because that is something which I think is so valuable, which technology can't replicate. So we are moving on, a balance between human and technology, and in that, the child and all of us need to be simply lifelong learners.
That's wonderful, because one of the highest skill when we talk about 21st century skill is the skill of the attitude of lifelong learning. So we need to be lifelong learners, and very true, Kaiser sir, when we talk about social emotional skill, if we are not taking care of social emotional well-being of our children, then whatever we are doing does not make any sense, because they are the core of everything. So these are the key takeaways from Kaiser sir. One is we need to be lifelong learners, and each one of us, though we are doing, we have to take care of social emotional well-being of our children during virtual classes also, and when they will come back then also. Yes, ma'am.
I think the biggest differentiator that we need to understand is that activities are very, very different from PBL. Most of us end up confusing ourselves and feel happy and glad and elated doing an activity and labeling it as PBL. PBL is a very, very research-based project which children do. Teachers will take the role of facilitators, where I think the biggest difference, according to the 5 levers of PBL, I think the biggest thing that we need to do, which in our Indian system, the schools, the managements are not still pro for, is giving autonomy, where you give the voice and the choice to children, where they themselves pick up what they want to do and they do it the way they want to do it. We are far, far away from that as of now, but that should be our destination, and that is where we feel elated with small little victories that we make. It's good, but then there's a long journey as of now.
Wonderful. So celebrate small success, but do not lose your focus from what it is, because rightly said, the essence of PBL is still not there, because that autonomy is not given. And what is important is, I think we started from there, giving voice to this generation. This is a very lonely generation, which is again a debatable topic. We can discuss about that, but we need to give voice to this generation so that they can come up and they can share. There is so much that they want to talk. Yes, ma'am, moving ahead to you.
As ma'am said, that there must be something take away. As we were discussing it before also while sitting at the back, that fine, all this technology, the requirement for the future, we are going to make the 21st century schools. We are already running in 21st century, I don't say. I think sir was saying 25 years have already gone, 21 years have gone. We are preparing our children for 21st century skills with the help of technology good enough, as ma'am said right now, that emotional well-being is also required, and their sociability is the first thing, that is the main concept for the life. Ma'am, we were just discussing about one concept that is coming during these days, that is the homeschooling. Means children will never go to school, parents will give all that different kinds of apps and tuitions online, and they will be safe in school environment. I just want to say one thing: there is no substitute of human resources. Human resources can only be developed with the help of human resources, means students with the help of teachers and the schools. Home cannot teach them any competency like communication skills, like they may be good at speaking, they may be good at writing, but once they come to group, that leadership quality will be lacking. If we are not giving the proper balance to the both the scenarios must be given the proper balance. Means they should be given the school where they should do the activity in group with the children, with the help of teachers, and they should be given the project work also based on research, where the teacher will be the facilitator. But behind that, one more thing is important: teachers training, capacity building of teachers for coming up to that level, because our children are far ahead from us. You can imagine the class 1 child can run each and every app well, while we cannot. Means we also have to update ourselves.
So they are digital native, and we have just come to the world of digitalization.
They are born leaders, and we are leading this field
But still,
After
whether it's your whiteboard or blackboard or your Zoom
Whatever.
screen or whatever, I think it's teachers who can play the magic, and
Teachers
that is
cannot
what
be
they have
substituted.
they have done.
Cannot be substituted with anything in the
Right,
world.
rightly said.
That's the only thing.
Wonderful. So I think everybody agrees that teachers cannot be substituted. And when we talk about technology also, whatever we talk about technology, human aspect is not going to go away, and it's never going to dehumanize at least teachers' efforts. So that's a good part about technology. Vanna ma'am, again, a very early adapter of technology. What do you have to tell to our audience when we talk about integrating a lot of activities in school? So what is your golden nuggets for them?
I think I'll take it from the aspect of teacher learning and empowering the teacher. Autonomy and empowerment with skill-based learning for the teachers is the way forward. And what's most important for us to now think about, COVID has taught us the idea of slowing down. I think we're running too fast. Technology has shown us a lot of other things, but at the same time, the idea that you get life faster. The fact is there's no answer to this right now for us, and for us to move forward we have to slow down and implement the idea of how do we all engage and learn from each other in the classroom. How are our teachers learning from the students? How are students learning from teachers? And how are we looking at this whole idea of new expression which is coming in our classroom to channelize this to create a better classroom, a better world, a better place to live, which I think you rightly said, lonely generation we are dealing with. They are really craving for a better world, not a fast world.
So there's something very beautiful that came out of your deliberation, Vanna ma'am. We always speak about curriculum, but there's something very important, that is the hidden curriculum of the school. And hidden curriculum is this, what you spoke about, what is happening in a classroom, how teachers and students, they are learning from each other, how learning landscapes are changing, and how collaboration is taking place. These are the things we usually do not discuss. I mean, when parents come, they always ask about curriculum, but these are the key aspect how school thrives. Yes, ma'am, your golden nuggets for the audience.
Well, I would like to continue in the same journey of discussion, and I think the beauty about PBL is that when we collaborate, be it the teaching fraternity or the students, we learn that there are so many values that go along with it. So there is no competition with each other. The competition is only with oneself. So how is it that we are being honest about the research we are doing? How is it that we are being collaborative and empathetic towards the needs of each other? There are so many values that need to be blended into the project-based learning, which is, I feel, a large area of gaps that need to be filled in, be it the teaching fraternity or the students. So this will give a lot of scope for value integrated meaningfully for the real life situation.
Integrating values meaningfully for the real life situation to prepare them for uncertain world, definitely. Though a pandemic has taught us that we have to be ready for uncertainty, but this particular generation have already experienced uncertainty. So I think they will be a much resilient generation compared to what we were. Yes, ma'am, moving ahead to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And taking on from what the others have spoken, if we are going to draw the analogy with project-based learning, if we are going to look at technology as a valuable tool that supports us out here, one key takeaway that we will all have to keep in our minds is the responsibility. We are responsible for our students, we are responsible for our staffs, but we are also responsible for making our students responsible to actively taking part in their learning. We have moved to transparent classrooms, so the teacher is getting beamed in different homes at the same point of time. We are living in glass houses now. We are living in glass institutions now. It is a very transparent world. So if a teacher has to take care of her presentability on the virtual medium, the student and the parents also have to take care of logging in on time and doing their assignments on time. So project-based learning is not just about choice and voice. The students in our classroom and the parents that we have already have voices. They are very, very conscious of the rights that they have, we have to also bring the focus on responsibility, because each one is responsible for their own learning. Those of you who've listened very carefully will have key takeaways. Some of you had tasks to do while this was on, which is also okay. So each one will have learned from the context, like where we come from, where we are, will determine where we finally land. So we have to focus on NEP, we have to focus on our own responsibility, and PBL is what makes responsibility focused and accountability there for everybody. So that's my golden nugget for everybody.
Responsibility and accountability, because if we do not have accountability, whatever we have done will not be mapped. It is very important to have accountability, whether it's a small task or big task. Yes, moving ahead.
I will divide my conclusion into two parts. One, that is a takeaway. Takeaway is that every one of us have accepted the fact that we can't now live without technology. And it's going to be blended or not blended, technology will stay with us. And therefore, it is nice that we take it positively, ensure that it is utilized in the correct manner, and we give the best, as each one of us have explained. Another thing which in our August gathering I would like to say, whether technology or not, whether Gurukul or 21st century skills, we in the institutions will have to understand to create good human beings, to give a beautiful environment. Sustainability development is something which we cannot go without, whether we are having project-based learning or technology or not. So let us understand that sustainability has to be taught. We need to teach our children, and we have to take care of the environment through technology, through project-based learning. Thank you so much.
Sustainability, definitely, whether we speak about all the goals of sustainability or sustainable education in our own school, because we are preparing children for the global world. So it is very important to nurture their roots so well that they will have the mightiest of the wings to fly away. Yes, sir.
So when it comes to the question of takeaway and giving a message, I'm a corporate strategist turned academician. So I would say that life is a project based on our learnings. Today we are sitting here and we are talking about national education policy, which will be getting full-fledged implemented in 2030. And if you are expecting a child sitting in the foundation classroom of yours under NUP 2030, the child is yet to be born. So the learning and the project in hand is that to work towards the child who is not yet been born. Probably the parents of the children are already sitting in your class 11 today, because they will become the parents of the same child who is in your foundation in the year 2030, which is 10 years down the line. So which is, there are three things that I wanted to tell you. Is that number one is that when we talk about 21st century skills, most of the schools are registered under the 1860 Societies Act, which is 19th century. And most of the companies driving the educational, private educational institutes are registered under 1956 Act of Companies, which is 20th century. And we are talking about 21st century skills. And there is nothing to do with relevance to the century, I believe, when it comes to education. As if we are talking about the skills and competencies relevant only for 21st century, and after this century there is no need for skills. Or as if we have not been having any skills in the previous centuries. So the purpose of learning, the underlying statement I wanted to say is that the purpose of learning or the purpose of education should be leading to the purpose of life. So to that extent, life is a project based on our learnings. So let us work towards that for the baby who is not yet been born. Thank you so much.
So, I mean, if we make our learning more life-centric rather than mark-centric, I think we are achieving our target. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, taking from your word, life-centric. So it means child is the center of learning. So what we have to understand is whether learning is for child or the child is for learning. And if we are able to understand this difference, I think life in itself is the project, as we are saying. So no need. Life is there. Life is an ongoing process. Education is also an ongoing process since the beginning of, you can say, the life itself. So it will continue having all the competences, but only focus of we educators is to make it a holistic approach, which will give the child the confidence to cope up with any kind of situation which comes across anywhere in the world, because this is a small world now, it's a global world with the technology at hand. So that coping up attitude which we have to provide, and therein comes the need of project-based learning. Thank you so much.
That was beautiful. So along with IQ, EQ and SQ, if we take care of AQ, then we are preparing the child for future. So the concluding note, what we have to see is we have to look around. When we look around, we see entire world is ready to collaborate. We have to look beyond. When we look beyond, we see creativity everywhere. We have to look deep, because looking deep makes us a better critical thinker. We have to look within. When we look within, self-introspection begins. And last but not the least, we have to look up. When we look up, we see the vast sky. That is abundance. Are we ready to embrace that abundance? If we are ready to embrace that abundance wholeheartedly, we are ready to give that abundance to our learners also. With this, we wind up this session, because already I got the notification that I have to wind, and we have finished this session 4 minutes, 42 seconds in advance. Thank you so much. So thank you everyone. You were really good, and we have managed the time very well.
And we wish to thank Chandan for this opportunity from my heart.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Before leaving, I would request Dr. Seema Negi to come across and provide the momentum of appreciation to all our eminent speakers. We have Roshni Vijayan. We have Anita Gupta, ma'am. We have Dr. Sunita Swaraj, ma'am. Sunita Swaraj, ma'am. Dr. C.S. Nair, sir. We have Vandana Arora, ma'am. We have Kesa Dupeshi, sir. We have Dr. Neeru Madhuri Party, ma'am. We have Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, ma'am. We have Dr. Rita Saxena, ma'am. And Priyanka Bhatkoti, ma'am. Now I would request Dr. C.S. Nair to come across and please provide the momentum of appreciation to Dr. Seema Negi, ma'am. Thank you so much to all our eminent speakers. And before we move away to our last section, I would like to call upon Shri Yuvraj Malik, Director, National Book Trust under Ministry of Education, Government of India, to please guide us with his few words